We're not used to being at church on Wednesday night, are we? It's good. Oops. And there's a handout. If you need one, just raise your hand. Put your name on it, take it home, study it, or leave it in the seat for tomorrow. Did anybody in here start your diary, been writing in your diary? I had an entry to put in mine today. Nearly got run over. That was unusual. I don't normally get run over by cars, but I mean, I looked both ways, and where he came from, I have no clue. Pulled right out in front of him, and the Lord said, I thought I told you to slow down. Okay, so write in your days of your 10 days of all diary. Keep it year to year, and I'm telling you, it will bless you immensely. Years and years and years ago, I would read a verse in the New Testament where Paul talked against Torah, said the law is done away or whatever. But then I'd read verses that would say that he loves Torah. And see, there's a future Yom Kippur coming when 5 virgins that are passionate for the Lord are going to get cut off because they've been taught laws done away. The rich ruler asked Jesus, he said, what can I do to inherit eternal life? And the answer was simple. Yeshua said, do the commandments. And then another guy tried to trick him and said, well, which one's the greatest one? Which was the greatest commandment? Trying to trick Jesus because they all knew that there were 10. And Jesus quoted the Shema and the Ve'ahavta. Love God and love your neighbor. Sums up the 10 commandments, the first tablet and the second tablet. 5 virgins are going to get cut off on the future Yom Kippur. They're not going to hell. They're going to be saved. But it's not going to be the way they think. Isaiah 57, Yahweh dwells with the one who is humble in spirit. And Yahweh's angry with the prideful. Prideful are the people who quit changing. The manna was fresh every day. You've got to have fresh manna every single day. Isaiah 58 says, cry aloud to the people. Do not hold back. Lift a voice like a shofar. Preach to my people their rebellion and their sin. For my people cry out to me, fast and pray, but they say that I, Yahweh, do not hear their prayers. Yahweh says, you fast, you pray to satisfy yourself. You disregard what I say to do, the 10 commandments. An acceptable fast is one that results in the changes of the heart. A humble person will listen to the preacher, listen to the rabbi, and this time of testing where we're to self-inspect ourselves. I think there's a verse in the New Testament even says, inspect yourself, so that you won't be tested. But if we don't change when the Lord tells us to do things, see, the way I look at it, not only did Yeshua keep Torah, the 10 commandments, what are you trying to tell me, Don? I told him I'll call him. Not only did Yeshua keep the 10 commandments, he kicked it up. He made He increased the law. He said even your emotions, even your thoughts are held accountable. He called it the fruit of the Spirit. Because if we just go by the letter of the law, it's not good. We got to be filled with the Spirit and do the fruit of the Spirit, and that's our emotions. So I want to talk tonight about forgiveness. And Yeshua says, if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. That's Matthew 6:15. Matthew 18:34. And the Lord was wroth and delivered him to the tormentors till he should pay. Likewise, Yahweh will do the same thing to you if you from your hearts do not forgive every brother of his trespasses. When you stand praying, Mark 11, forgive. If you have aught against anybody, forgive. Luke 23, then Yeshua said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. You saw the video. You saw what they did to him. And yet, he stands there and he says, Father, forgive them. Well, if he asking his Father to forgive him, did Yeshua forgive them for what they did? They did. You can read on the last page there where his face was marred beyond all human recognition, more than any man that had ever existed. He was deformed that much. And yet, before he died, he said, Father, forgive them. And then the book of Jonah is read on Yom Kippur. And why is it read? Because it's the only sign given to the generation right before Yeshua comes. Because the generation's wicked, and we gotta figure out how we fit into this. What was that sign? And so will it take some bad things to obey our master? For Nineveh repented. So if the Lord reveals something to you, are you going to repent of it? That Refiner's Fire song. I believe everyone in this room has been in that crucible, the refiner's fire. I believe we've all been in it. Everybody here at some time or another. And I decided in my life that I just didn't want to hurt that much anymore, I didn't want to hurt like that anymore. Not that I'm immune to it. I could still hurt in the future. But I decided I was going to do it. If the Lord showed me something, I was going to do it. So I want to talk about forgiveness for just a minute. I just read the verses in Matthew and Mark and Luke. We can pray all these prayers. Father, forgive me for intentional sin, unintentional sin. But if we don't forgive our brother, he says, leave the altar. Go to your brother. Now, we don't have to go to our brother, but that's a way of saying you got to make it right. Somehow you got to make it right. There are people living, dead, past and present, who have offended you, who have hurt you in a major way. If you're still alive today, you've been hurt, okay? I have been hurt. You have been hurt. But we have to learn to forgive. So I'm going to tell you briefly, very briefly, my story. Then I'm going to talk about your story. And then I'm going to talk to you just a minute about a movie I went to see this week. And I didn't know this movie was on forgiveness. I did not know that. But that's what it was on. But Len and I hadn't been married very long. We were attending church regular, and somebody did something to her that I thought was just out of the part rude. It's so rude and so bad that I told Lana, I said, Lana, and this is when we were keeping Christmas. We've taught that Yeshua was born in the fall. He wasn't born at Christmas. You can sing Christmas carols if you want to. I'm just saying, I said, he's not coming here Christmas. There's no way he's coming here. Lana said, you can't do that. You got to forgive him. I said, I cannot forgive him. I couldn't, I'm her husband. I could not do. What he did was so raw, so bad, okay? She forgave him pretty quick, pretty quick, but I couldn't do it. And Lana kept telling me, she says, have you forgiven, a little time would go by, she said, have you forgiven him? I said, no. And she said, Larry, you have to forgive him. And so anyway, I decided, forgiveness, I wrote this down, forgiveness is a decision. It's not a feeling. Please, hear me. Forgiveness, you'll never feel like forgiving some people for what they've done. It was so bad, okay? So you never feel, I didn't feel like forgiving him. But she said, you have to forgive him. So here, this is my story, how I learned how to forgive him. And I'm going to share it with you as an example, okay? So every time this person would come across my thought process, which was regular, because this person in our lives, okay, pretty regular, I'd say, Lord, I can't believe he did that. Please help me forgive him. And this went on, I'd say 3 months. Sometimes forgiveness is a process. There are very few people who can make the decision to forgive and forget. Because, God says he can forget sin, but it's hard for us to just forget some things people have done to us, okay? So I would ask the Father, help me. So as it went along, those thoughts, the bad thoughts about him, this person, it could be I say him, it could be a her, you know what I'm saying, came fewer and fewer and fewer. And then when I did think of this person, because they're in our lives, then those bad thoughts started disappearing. But it took a while. And then one day I realized they were completely gone. Okay? But that was faithfulness to ask the Lord's help in something I could not do on my own. Do you see what I'm saying? And so this story of my thing about forgiveness, and there are others, but this is the most recent one. There are others that were harder to do. But this one, in a way, you can say, well, Larry, that's pretty easy. You know, some people have offended me. I don't know your story. You know, some people may have offended you a whole lot worse. May have got in your face and did horrible, ugly things to you. Could have been a school teacher. You know, could have said, well, you'll never amount to nothing. Or it could have been a parent saying, you'll never amount to nothing. Or it could have been other kids in your class saying, you're fat, or you're ugly, or you're this, or you're that. And you take it because you're a kid, you're growing up, and it's hard on you. You know, and you have to learn to overcome these things and believe what God says about you and instead of what people say about you. So anyway, I don't know your story. It may be hard. You may still have some resentment, some bitterness, a funny feeling in your gut when you think about this person. But it's my prayer that this will go away for you too, okay? But I'm telling you this because I believe it's a sin. If you still hold unforgiveness towards somebody, past, present, living, or dead, it is sin and it is rebellion. And you could get cut off on Yom Kippur because it says in those verses, Father won't forgive you if you don't forgive. So it's not that easy. So I'm just asking you to talk to the Lord about it. Now I'm going to share briefly this third thing, this movie I went to see. And I don't recommend going to see it because it'll make you cry all the way through it. At least halfway through it, I'm sitting there, not that many people in the theater. I'm trying not to cry, okay? It was hard. And this guy's name, you may have already heard about it, Louis Zamperini, World War II. The title of the movie is Unbroken, Path to Redemption. He was a hero in his hometown. He went to World War II, got shot down. True story, over the Pacific. He's laying there on a lifeboat, about to die. He's looking up the stars. He says, Father, if you forgive me, if you save me, I'll serve you the rest of my life. But he forgot that little thing because of some bad things that happened to him when he got into that prison camp. It's called PTSD. But I want to tell you something. The Lord delivered this man from PTSD. But when he got back from the war, it was a miracle. They in the paper said he was dead. The newspaper said he was dead. But when he got back from the war, they found him, and he got back. He got married, had a baby, had a beautiful life, but this PTSD was absolutely destroying him. And it was a man called the Bird. He was the guy over the prison camp. And he said that he'd have visions of this man. It was pretty horrible. And some of the things in the movie were hard to watch, okay? And but it was destroying him, his marriage. And I'm telling you, it would have destroyed him. He actually bought a gun at one point and was probably going to use it. You know, he was crashing, he was burning, alcohol was rampant. So anyway, in 1949, Billy Graham came, did a little preaching. See, that's why I love the church. They've saved so many people. 2,000 years. I'm telling you, Yeshua loves the church. Even though they're half of them, or whatever, 5 virgins aren't going to make it. He still loves the church. And he didn't happen the first night, but he went back. And then he went back. He was getting ready to walk out of the camp meeting. He walked out and looked up and he saw those stars. And the Lord gave him that vision on that raft. And he remembered what he said. And he was delivered from PTSD. He said that man never, that person that tortured him. So his forgiveness was huge. Could I have done what he did? I don't know. I haven't been faced with his demons. You know? So you may have faced a lot worse demons than I've faced. But the Lord is telling you, if you're listening online, the Lord's telling you got to forgive them. It's a decision. It's not a feeling. It's obedience to do it. And you need to do it. And you need the Lord's help because sometimes it's so severe you got to have His help. And so you make a decision and you ask for His help. You take the thought captive every time you have that negative thought about that person. Why? The Lord, Yahweh, is the avenger. You don't take it into your hands. We cannot deal with it. Our health, our bodies cannot deal with unforgiveness. It will destroy you. I'm telling you. Anyway, refiner's fire. Write in your book. I got a little emotional, I'm sorry. Okay, Rabbi. Yes, anybody else wants to share? This is a good time. This is a good time to share.
Today wasn't too, well, I went to Walmart, and when I was pulling back in Walmart, I saw one of our sheep, and she looked like her back was broke. I thought, what is the matter with her? And she was my favorite. I named her Lanny a long time ago. And she was so precious to me. Larry put a thing in her ear, an ear tag, so that she would be marked so that we would make sure and never sell her. And so I got out of the car and I walked over there to her. And her foot, her body, her leg, and her ear was wrapped so tight in this wire that she had gotten loose from the fence. She's my favorite. I walked over to her. No matter what I did, she was pulling away from me and making all of them go deeper in her. I couldn't do anything. I could not do anything. Larry wasn't home. I couldn't get to my phone, and I knew I had to do something, so I ran to the shed and I got wire cutters. But when I started cutting them, I couldn't. And I just started praying, Lord, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. I could not do this on my own. It was so hard. And every time I'd cut, she'd pull. And I just kept saying, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. And he did. Every one was cut free. And the ones in her ears, I thought at first I would have to cut her ear off to free it. But I didn't. I was just praying. And then I got the idea of just cutting the wire outside her ear so it all stayed way down in there until Larry got home. Then I got to the phone and called him. But I wrestled with her and those wires for so long. I was so give out. But all I could say is, Lord, help me. I cannot do this by myself. And he did. He helped me. Those wires, there's no way I could have squeezed that by myself. And I just want to praise him.
And then when I got home, we got her in the stall, and then I cut the rest of the wires off. So it was. Is there anybody else in here who wants to give a testimony about forgiveness? Since this is something we need to do on Yom Kippur, by Yom Kippur. Anybody? Okay. Rabbi?
Because we have attended to Yahweh's set-apart day by coming here or watching it online, and we've participated in it today and tomorrow, we have his attention. You know, the liturgy might look like some kind of water torture or seem like it, but he really likes liturgy. He likes all those exacting things. And he likes things done his way. And like you said, all of us have something. Maybe lots of somethings. I'm an alcoholic. I quit drinking on April 26, 1981. And I went through a program called AA. I might call it the old AA. And there were things that we did, and forgiveness was one of those things. And we would go to people, it's one of the steps. We forgave those who had injured us, or who we thought had injured us. And there's some times when Yahweh may place right in your face somebody that you need to go to. I certainly had that happen. An utter, absolute shock. I'm not going to tell the story, but it was just something I could not believe. But I knew what it was about. You know, there's times when forgiveness, too, where you go and you say, you know, I'll forgive you. I really do. I do forgive you for this. But I don't want to talk to you again. You really hurt me. I'm going to forgive you, and just that's that. Because that happened to a couple of people that I called. Okay, thanks. Are you done? That was the end of it. But I did what I had to do. It certainly is not over with. I wish you could just say, okay, once I get all these little things done, I got a checklist, that I'll be okay. That's not the truth. Many, many things keep coming up. And I do have things that I must deal with. And PTSD being one of those things has its rather terrifying and terrible hooks that it digs. So anyway, tomorrow we are going to kind of do some more of what we did. Liturgy, that we formally say, these are the things we have sinned doing. You know, now they use a language, the liturgy uses a language that we might not normally use, but it's the same thing. We understand where we've made mistakes. I'm sure that many of us that go on Facebook don't judge others, certain of it. Those are things that are bad. Quite frankly, I think that the social media thingy that we get involved in opens the door so that we may judge others. And there's times when I'm looking at it and saying, I don't like this. I don't like where my brain just went reading this story. So we have to stop there and just, you know, this is rebellion. I'm rebelling against Yahweh. Yahweh probably actually loves that guy as much as he does me. Wow, shocker. So who am I to reject him? Anyway. By tomorrow, please bring the names of those you want added to the Zikor, the memorial, when we get to that point in the service. We're online? We are? If you happen to not be able to come here to give the name, get your pencil and paper handy. Write an e-letter to Rabbi Paul, RABBIPAUL, at servant, SERVANT, 2000, that's the number, .org. And just give me the names of those people, and we will announce them tomorrow afternoon. Pardon me? Formal? This is a formal announcement. And your proper name, you know, don't just say, well, my brother's name was Larry. But I'm going to have to say Lawrence, because that's his proper name. We do those things. The memorial is to comfort us and to remind Yahweh. These are some of our people. Now, he already knows that, but he does like us to pay attention to him. I already have a list, a couple of people, so please do that. Okay. It should be family members. However, if you have someone that was very close to you, and this, as a service, as a veteran, I have members of the service that I will announce their names because of things that happened. If you have something similar to that, you know, a high school teacher that was very, very good to you or helped you in many ways that you know is dead, let's do their names too. They're in your heart. Okay. Yom Kippur is an important thing. It's a big deal. Yahweh thinks it's a big deal. And that's why we're here, because we can't have Sukkot without it. That's the way it is. Can I have number 2 there, please?
Just another thought, too. Some of us are fasting, you know.
Yes. Oh, fasting, yes.
Some of us are fasting, and if you're have a medical issue, you know, you can maybe not do a complete total fast. Some will do just water and bread, some just water, some fruit juices or something, and others, like you mentioned, Shabbat, about that. And then we'll break that fast tomorrow evening at sunset, 6:41, I think it is.
Right.
So sometime, we'll have 2 services tomorrow.
We have 2 services tomorrow, one at 1 o'clock till whatever it's going to be, 3 o'clock or so, I guess. and then the other one starting at 6 is the concluding service. And fasting, this is a traditional rule. Life takes precedence over a commandment. Now don't misuse that. The commandment to afflict ourselves, to fast, but you have a blood sugar issue or you have medications or whatever, you know, take care of those issues. You know, I do bread and water. Big deal. It's to me, it's a fast. There's other things to afflict yourself. Like, why are you on Facebook? Okay. Yahweh told Moses to tell the priesthood to put his name, Yahweh's name, on the people. And he said these things. Please receive, if you want to stand or sit, please receive the name of Yahweh. Yivarekah Yahweh v'yishmereka. Ya'er Yahweh panav elecha v'yikoneka. Yisa Yahweh panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. And Yahweh lift up his countenance, his face upon you, and give you shalom. Shabbat shalom. I hope to see you tomorrow. Oh, and I can see you guys in the screen, too. There's a little never mind.